शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां 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 शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष माम् शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां 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 शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर
गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम शारदा शारदाम्बोज वदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात् शङ्कारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीगदमुपूदीय किङ्करीयश शामाय शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये भारतीकरुणापात्रं भारतीपदभूषणं भारतीपदमारूढं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्या विनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागविवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखरभारतीं सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। Thank you all. Please welcome again for next session on Vande Vidya Shankaram. Today we will cover Vedanta through Stotras by Sri Pranav Swaminathan. We are covering Vishnu Sahasranama Stora based on Shankara Bhashyam. Please take it away, Pranav. Thank you.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharyamadhyamam Asmadacharyaparyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shrimate Shankararya Dhimate Bhutashaktage Namostvadvaita Siddhanta Sthapanopatamurtage Ajnanam Janhavi Tirtham Vidyatirtham Vivekinam Sarvesham Sukhadam Tirtham Bharati Tirthamashraye Vidya Vinigasampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tadvagnam Vidushekhara Bharatim Sadguru Charanarvindabhyam Namaha Satchidanandarupaya Krishnaya Klishtakarine Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhisakshine Krishnadvaipakyanam Vyasam Sarvaloka Ratam Vedabja Bhaskaram Vande Shamadinilayam Munim Sahasramurte Purushottamasya Sahasranetra Nanapadabaho सहस्रनाम्नां स्तवनं प्रशस्तन्निरुच्यते जन्मजरादिशान्त्यै वैशम्पायनो जनमेजयमुवाच श्रुत्वा धर्मानशेषेण पावनानि च सर्वशः युधिष्ठिरः शान्तनवं पुनरेवाभ्यभाषत युधिष्ठिर उवाच किमेकं दैवतं लोके किं वाप्येकं परायणं स्तुवन्तः कं कमर्चन्तः प्राप्नुयुर्मानवाः शुभं को धर्मः सर्वधर्माणां भवतः परमो मतः किञ्जपन्मुच्यते जन्तुर्जन्मसंसारबन्धनात् श्रीभीष्म उत्तरमुवाच जगत्प्रभुं देवदेवमनन्तं पुरुषोत्तमं स्तुवन्नाम सहस्रेण पुरुषः सततोत्थितः तमेव चार्चयन्नित्यं भक्त्या पुरुषमव्ययं ध्यायन् स्तुवन्नमस्यंश्च यजमानस्तमेव च अनादिनिधनं विष्णुं सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं लोकाध्यक्षं स्तुवन्नित्यं सर्वदुःखातिको भवेत् ब्रह्मण्यं सर्वधर्मज्ञं लोकानां कीर्तिवर्धनं लोकनाथं महद्भूतं सर्वभूतभवोद्भवम् एष मे सर्वधर्माणां धर्मोऽधिकतमो मतः यद्भक्त्या पुण्डरीकाक्षं स्तवैरर्चेन्नरः सदा परमय्यो महत्तेजः परमय्यो महत्तपः परमय्यो महद्ब्रह्म परमय्यः परायणं पवित्राणां पवित्रय्यो मङ्गलानां च मङ्गलं दैवतं देवतानां च भूतानां यो व्ययः पिता यतः सर्वाणि भूतानि भवन्त्यादियुगागमे यस्मिंश्च प्रलयं यान्ति पुनरेव युगक्षये तस्य लोकप्रधानस्य जगन्नाथस्य भूपते विष्णोर्नाम सहस्रं मे शृणु पापभयापहं यानि नामानि गौणानि विख्यातानि महात्मनः ऋषिभिः परिगीतानि तानि वक्ष्यामि भूतगे ॐ विश्वं विष्णुर्वषट्कारो भूतभव्यभवत्प्रभुः भूतकृद्भूतभृद्भावो भूतात्मा भूतभावनः. In the last lecture, we had seen the Mahima of the Omkara or Pranava, which is said to be a Brahmavachaka Shabda. Omiti Brahma, Omiti Itagum Sarvam is what Shruti says. So this Omkara is the Akshara that precedes the first Nama in the Vishnu Sahasranama, Vishvam. Vishvam Vishnur Vashatkaraha. These are the first three names. And we saw that Omkara can be optional because Om is nothing different than Vishwam. The entire Jagat or Vishwam is none other than the Omkara or Brahman. So we saw Om iti Brahma. So by that we see that this Omkara can be said in the beginning. And for that, in the optional case that we do use the Omkara in the beginning, if we have the samskaras for that, then for that we saw all the quotations Srimad Bhagavad Pada has given for the Mahima of the Omkara, what is the Tattva of the Pranava, and all those things we saw in the previous class. Like that, we are also seen the different derivations for the Shabda Vishwam. So that Vishwam has so many meanings, and that can be from the Srishti, Sthiti and Laya perspectives. As we saw Vishati iti Vishwam, like that we saw so many arthas for the first word Vishwam. Now, in the previous class, we had seen so many quotations from all the Puranas, Itihasas, etc. Tasmat Shanta Upasita iti Shrutehe. So, for that, Shankaracharya is quoting so many quotes. We had ended the last lecture with a few quotations such as Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va gadiva dukham sayogi paramo matah. So in the Atma Sanyama Yoga or 6th Adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan tells Arjuna, Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yaha Arjuna. So Atmaupamyena, Atma Aupamyena, so similar to oneself, sarvatra samam pashyati. Yaha, whoever sees everything as equal, sukham va gadiva dukkham, whether it be sorrow, dukkham or sukham, joy, that is the highest yogi. Sayogi paramaha. So sayogi paramo mataha. So he is said to be, in my opinion, a perfect yogi. So there is a Lakshana of yogi in where they see equality among all living beings and respond to both the sukha and the dukkha of those beings as well as if it were their own. So they take the bhara of what they see on themselves and they have that compassionate quality. This is one Lakshana of the yogi that Bhagavan says in Dhyana Yoga or Atma Samyama Yoga. Similarly to this, we see Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Shvapake cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So even though Shankaracharya has not quoted that shloka here, in another chapter, in fifth chapter, Bhagavan also tells the same thing, where Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. So for the person that is endowed with Vidya and Vinaya, so a lot of people have Vinaya but not much knowledge. Some people have Vidya, but because of that Vidya, they have all these Ahankara, the Lakshanas. So the Vidya Vinaya Sampanni, the one that is endowed with knowledge and Vinaya, they see this equal in everything. Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Like that, the entire concept of samam is only in our Sanatana Dharma, as we will see also in the following quotations. And we had seen another quotation that Shankaracharya gives from Itihasa, from Mahabharata Vanaparva. Nirgunah Paramatmatra Dehe Vyapya Vyavasthitah Tamaham Jnana Vigneyam Navamanye Nalanghaye. So for this shloka, Nirgunaha Paramatma Atra Dehe Vyapya Vyavasthitaha. So the Paramatma without any gunas or lakshanas is in the residing in the Deha. Dehe Vyapya Vyavasthitaha. Tamaham Jnana Vigneyam Navamanye Nalanghaye. So the person, him who is to be perceived by this knowledge, I will not despise nor transgress. Navam anye na langhaye. And the last quotation we had seen in the last lecture was Yadyagameir na vindeyam tamaham bhuta bhavanam krameyam tvam girin chemam hanumaniva sagaram. So another quotation that Shankaracharya is giving here is the person that said this is saying, if I do not perceive that Brahman, the creator of all beings, by the help of the scriptures, yadi agamihi na vindeyam. Agama here means all the Veda ityadi shrutis. We saw lokana hetubihi. So by which we have our knowledge or which we have our drishtanta, meaning the Shastra drishtanta, the Shastra drishti, by the help of those scriptures, if I do not realize him, the creator of all beings, bhuta bhavanam tamaham bhuta bhavanam krameyam tvam girim cha imam hanumaniva sagaram. I will jump over this mountain or this barrier and reach you, the Paramatma, as Hanuman did in the case of the ocean. Hanumaniva sagaram. So like Anjaneya Swami, he jumped across the Sagara or ocean to get to Lanka. That way, even by the help of all these scriptures, if I cannot perceive you or attain you, the Brahman, then I will also Krameya Iyam Tvam Girim. So I will jump across this mountain as Hanuman did. As Hanuman did the ocean. Like this, he gives so many other quotations. Baddha vairani bhutani dvesham kurvanti chettatah shochanyuhoti mohena vyaptaniti manishinam. Ete भिन्नदृशां दैत्याः विकल्पाः कथितामगा कृत्वाभ्युपगमन्तत्र संक्षेपश्रूयतां मम विस्तारः सर्वभूतस्य विष्णोः सर्वमिदं जगत् द्रष्टव्यम् आत्मवत्तस्मात् अभेदेन विचक्षणैः समुत्सृज्य सुरं भावं तस्माद्यूयं तथा वयं तथा यत्नं करिष्यामः यथा प्राप्स्याम निर्वृतिम्. So all these from the Vishnu Purana he quotes. Baddha vairani bhutani dvesham kurvanti chettatah. So if all these beings be hostile or have this vairi bhava to each other and indulge in this hatred, dvesham kurvanti chettatah, they are objects of pity to the wise. Shochanyaha atimohena vyaptani iti manishinam. So manishinam, for the people that are wise, they are objects of pity. Or the wise look at these people or pranis and they feel pity towards them as they are encompassed by this delusion. Ati mohena shochanyah ati mohena. So they are all bewildered by moha. Ete भिन्नदृशां दैत्याः विकल्पाः कथिता मया कृत्वाभ्युपगमन् तत्र संक्षेपः श्रूयतां मम. And then there's a samvada here. So they're saying, hey Daityaha, oh Daityas, Rakshasas, these are the reasons, oh Daityas, for representing that hatred, they being adapted to those capacities. For those who see the deity different from the creatures. एते भिन्नदृशां दैत्याः विकल्पाः कथिता मया कृत्वापि कृत्वा अभ्युपगमन् तत्र संक्षेपः श्रूयतां मम. So they saying here briefly संक्षेपः श्रूयतां मम. So here briefly what influences those who have approached the truth. विस्तारः सर्वभूतस्य विष्णोः सर्वम् इदं जगत् द्रष्टव्यम् आत्मवत् तस्मात् abhedena vichakshanaih. The whole Jagat or universe is but a manifestation of Vishnu. Vistaraha sarvabhutasya Vishnoho sarvam idam Jagat. As we saw, Vishnu is a Vyapanashila or the one that is Sarvavyapi. So this can be used for all devatas that are the we take as the Saguna Rupas or Ishvara. For example, even for Ganesha, we say Shuklam Varadharam Vishnu. That Vishnu there does not mean Sriman Narayana Shriyapati. That Vishnu there means Ganesha. So like that, the Ishvara who is Sarvavyapi is known as Vishnu. So we should not just take it as Shiva, Vishnu, and this Shiva Keshava Bheda already Shankaracharya had debunked in the Purva Pitika itself and said that people who view Shiva as different from Keshava, they go to Naraka and all those Ati Krura things that happen to people that see this Shiva Keshava Bheda. So in Vishnu Sahasranamam also we have Sarva Sharva Shivasthanuhu Bhuta Adinnidiravyaha. We have Shambhu. All these names that we think represent Shiva are seen in the Vishnu Sahasranamam. In the Shiva Stotra Shatanamavadi and Sahasranama Stotra, we see so many things that we may at a Sankshepa level, at a top level, we may think represent Vishnu. But all of these are all Paramatma Vachaka Shabdas. That is why Shankaracharya already said when it's Devatam in the Napumsakalinga, that is Paramatma. For Devata, he has also given an example. And for Devaha, he took it as Vishnu. So for all three lingas as well, there is no linga bheda. So all of them are representing. So wherever there is a Strilinga pada, the Strilinga pada should be taken as Devata. Wherever there's a Pullinga pada, that can be taken as Vishnu. And wherever there's a Napumsakalinga pada, that can be taken as Brahman. Like that, for all three lingas, they all go back to the same supreme Karana, the Karanasya Karana. So whoever is the Hetu for all Hetus. So that is why a name is called Pitamaha. Mata Dhata Pitamaha. So we see Pitamaha as one of the names of Brahman because the Pita is the Janaka, he is the cause. But the cause of the cause is the Pitamaha. So that can be taken if all the Ishvara Swarupas we see is known as in the further Srishti, Sthiti and Laya, they have taken that Rupa. They also have a Karana which is Brahman. So the same thing is been done Pratipadana or being explained here. Vistaraha sarvabhutasya Vishnoha sarvam idam jagat drashtavyam atmavat tasmat abhedena vichakshanaih. So the entire jagat is a manifestation of Vishnu who is identical with all things. Drashtavyam atmavat tasmat. And it is therefore to be regarded by the jnanis that is nothing different than themselves. Atmavat drashtavyam atmavat abhedena vichakshani. So there should not be any bheda buddhi bheda buddhi there, so that bheda or that differentiation should not be there, and the wise do not do that. So again, a karana result of that is samutsrajya suram bhavam tasmadyuyam tatha vayam yatha yatnam karishyamah yatha prapsyama nirvritim. So the asuram bhavam. So we see in Vedanta the asuri sampat and devi sampat, and Bhagavan goes over this in great detail in the 16th adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita. So all these asuri sampat, the asuram bhava, that's what the shloka says. Samutsraja asuram bhavam. Tasmad yuyam tatha vayam. So you and us, there is no difference, and that asuram bhavam of asuya, hatred, and all that is actually of no use. So let us therefore lay aside all these angry passions and strive that we obtain this nirvriti, or maybe obtain that perfection. Tatha yatnam karishyamah. Yatnam, prayatnam, maybe put effort. Yatha prapsyama nirvritim. To remove all this asaram bhavam and to actually strive for the greater goal instead of being engaged in all these quite useless vicharas. And sarvatra daityaha samatam upeta samatvam aradhanam achyutasya. So another quotation is O daityaha sarvat he daityaha sarvatram samatam upeta samatvam aradhanam achyutasya. Also become, O daityas, equal in all. The worship of Achyuta is equality. So this samatvam aradhanam achyutasya. So achyutasya aradhanam samatvam. So samatam upeta. So even for those daityas or the sons of Diti or the asuras, even for them they can attain this by removing their asuri gunas and the asuri sampat. So let us become equal in all, hey asuras, and samatvam aradhanam achyutasya, and that aradhana or worship of Achyuta is samatvam. The next quotations he gives are न मन्त्रादिकृतस्तात न च नैसर्गिको मम प्रभाव एष सामान्यो यस्य यस्याच्युतो हृदि अन्येषां यो न पापानि चिन्तयस्यात्मनो तथा चिन्तयत्यात्मनो यथा तस्य पापागमस्तात हेत्वाभावान्न विद्यते कर्मणा मनसा वाचा परपीडां करोति यः तद्बीजं जन्म फलति प्रभूतं तस्य च अशुभं सोहन्न पापमिच्छामि न करोमि वदामि वा चिन्तयन् सर्वभूतस्थं आत्मन्यपि च केशवं शारीरं मानसं वाग्जं दैवं भूतभवं तथा सर्वत्र समचित्तस्य तस्य मे जायते कुतः एवं सर्वेषु भूतेषु भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी कर्तव्या पंडितैर्ज्ञात्वा सर्वभूतमयं हरिम्. Again, all these quotations are from Vishnu Purana. The first quotation is न मन्त्रादि कृतः तात न च नैसर्गिको मम प्रभाव एष सामान्यः यस्य यस्य अच्युतः हृदि. So whatever power I possess, hey tata or father, is neither the result of all these magic, na mantradikritah, na cha naisargikah. It is not result of magical rites, nor is it inborn within me. Naisargikah. Then what is it? Prabhava esha samanyah yasya yasya achyuto hridi. So it is no more than that which is possessed by all in whose hearts Achyuta abides. So that is the prabhava. Prabhava esha samanya. This is a common prabhava for who yasya yasya achyutaha hridi. Yasya yasya hridi achyutaha vartate. So whoever has, for those who have achyuta in their heart, this guna that I possess is just a samanya prabhava. Samanya prabhava. So another dialogue is continuing. in which they're showing the greatness of meditation on Ishvara. And Anneshai yona papani chintayati atmano yatha tasya papa gamastata tasya papa gamastata hetva bhavat na vidyate. And he who meditates not wrong to others but considers them as himself is free from the effects of papa, just like the cause does not exist. Annesham yona papani chintayati atmano yatha. So he who does this meditation or thinks not wrong to others, so he who does not wish ill upon others but considers them as himself, no different from himself, that person is free from the effects of papa. Tasya papa gamaha tata hetu abhavat na vidyate. Because there is no hetu or karana for this papa. So the karana for papa does not exist. So the papa itself will not exist by this drishti. Anyesham yaha na papani chintayati atmanaha yatha. Atmanaha yatha. So how he sees himself, how he if he thinks of others like that, na papani chintayati, and he does not wish ill upon them. Tasya papa gamaha. So he has crossed the papa, because the stage of papa, because the entire hetu or the root, the cause of that has been destroyed. Hetva bhavat na vidyate. Uh, and then another quotation. Karmana manasa vacha parapidam karoti yaha tad bijam janma phalati prabhutam tasya cha ashubham. And now the opposite of that. So first we had the phalashruti of the person with the abheda drishti, but the person with the bheda drishti who always does himsa, ahimsa paramo dharmaha, right? So this himsa who wants to do this para apakara, paropakara punyaya papaya parapedanam, right? So the person that has this buddhi to do apakara, and how karmana manasa vacha. So karmana by the actions, manasa by thought itself, this asuya, this jealousy, the thinking that they should not succeed, all of these things, manasa, vacha, and by scolding them by the vak, by the mouth. So karmana manasa vacha. That is why in all the nitya karma anushtanas, we always pray. Manasa vacha hastabhyam padbhyam udarena shishnya ratristadabalumpatu ahastadabalumpatu. We always pray, because whatever papas we did by the karma, by the manasa, by the manas, or by the vacha, the vak, the voice, we want all that papas to go away. Avalumpatu. Like that, the person that does the pida by not just the, so they've given these three because the cause of that pida is not just hitting somebody or like that. It can be just be karmana, or it can be manasa or vacha, just by saying something bad towards somebody or by thinking ill of them, for them. That is parapidam karoti yaha. So whoever does this pida or this towards them, inflicts this pain upon them, they tad bijam janma phalati prabhutam tasya cha ashubham. So this is like sowing the seed of a future birth. Tad bijam janma phalati. The bija of that is another janma. So like how the seed produces fruits, like that the fruit, the seed of these actions or these karma manasa vacha of this pida, this parapida that one does, the fruit of that is another janma. Prabhutam tasya cha ashubham. And the fruit that awaits in that birth, that will not be a birth of sukha, that will not be a birth in a rajavamsha or like that. It will be a janma with ashubha, with amangala and pain. So these are all the side effects of not following this. And we see that the janma that we get next is only based on the ratio of punya and papa. There are so many higher janmas in terms of punya and papa. There are so many lower janmas because we have about 80 lakh or 8 million types of pranis, not Sankhya, but we have 8 million species of pranis as per Sanatana Dharma. And that can be split into Sthavara and Jangama, the things that can move and things that are non-movable. And within those, we have so much punya to get Manusha Janma. That is why Shankaracharya says in Viveka Chudamani, Jantunam Nara Janma Durlabham Pumustum Tato Viprata. And among even within that, the Chintana to do this, all this Vedanta Shravana and everything is only a result of so much Purva Janma Sukrita. So as the Sukrita goes less and less and the Papa Sankhya goes down, then they may not even get the Manusha Janma, or they may get the Manusha Janma and suffer a lot, or they may be born in Pashu Yoni, Pakshi Yoni, whatever they may, and they will suffer in that birth. Soham na papamichhami na karomi vadami va chintayan sarvabhutastham atmani apicha keshavam. So this one is saying, I wish not evil to anybody. Saha aham na papam ichhami na karomi vadami va, and I will not do or speak that. Chintayan sarvabhutastam atmani apicha keshavam. Because I behold Keshava in all beings as well as in my own self. Atmani api cha Keshavam sarvabhutastham api Keshavam. So Bhagavan says sarvabhutastham atmanam. So like that, the sarvabhutastha atmana is within us and it is also within all other pranis as well. So because of that bhava, he is saying saha aham na papam ichhami na karomi vadamiva. So I do not desire for their non-welfare or their downfall, and I will not do anything like that. Na karomi na vadamiva, and I will not speak as that, because I am thinking of I am thinking that the chit within all vastus, Chintayan sarvabhutastham atmani api cha keshavam. Within myself and within all bhutas are being sarvabhutastham atmani api is Keshava. The next quotation he gives is Shariram manasam vagjam daivam bhuta bhavan tatha sarvatra samachittasya tasya me jagate kutaha. So how can this pain be inflicted by the sharira, by the mind or speech that is inflicted by elements or gods affect me, because I am equal minded to all. Shariram manasam vagjam daivam bhuta bhavan tatha sarvatra samachittasya tasya me kutaha jayate. Tasya me jayate kutaha. So how can any pidana be inflicted to me by the sharira, manas or vak, or by even the gods, daivam or bhuta bhavam, or by the elements? Sarvatra samachittasya, because I see samam in everything. That is why I had quoted earlier this Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Shlok. So the Sarvatre Samachittasya Tasame Jayate Kutah. Because I have this Samachitta or equal mindedness or equal drishti among all pranis, how can that affect me in any way? Is the quotation here. The next quotation is Evam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Bhaktiravyabhicharini Kartavya Panditairnyatva Sarva Bhutam Ayam Harim. Sarvabhutamayam Harim. So, evam sarveshu bhuteshu sarveshu bhuteshu bhaktihi avyabhicharini. So, love for all creatures or bhakti to all creatures will then be cherished by all those who are wise in the knowledge that Hari is all things. Bhaktihi avyabhicharini kartavya panditaihi jnatva sarvabhutamayam harim. So again, this is continuing on the same topic, that this bhaktihi avyabhicharini for all creatures will then be cherished by those who are the panditas. Panditaihi jnatva sarvabhutamayam harim jnatva. So this bhaktihi avyabhicharini kartavya. So in all beings, we should be having this bhakti bhava. And because the panditas or the people with good knowledge, they know that sarvabhutamayam harim. The next shlokas are also from a different section of the same Vishnu Purana. सामचोपप्रदानञ्च भेददण्डौ तथा परौ उपायाः कथिता ह्येते मित्रादीनाञ्च साधने तानेवाहन्न पश्यामि मित्रादींस्तातमाक्रुधः साध्याभावे महाबाहो साधनैः किं प्रयोजनं सर्वभूतात्मके तात जगन्नाथे जगन्मगे परमात्मनि गोविन्दे मित्रामित्रकथा कुतः. So these next few shlokas are from a different section in the same Vishnu Purana. It is said that all these sama, this consolation, cha upapradana, this danas or gifts, cha bheda dandau, this bheda danda or punishment, tatha aparo, these are all upayaha katitha hyete mitradinam cha sadhane. So it is said that all of these things are and sowing the seeds of these bheda are the means of securing friends or overcoming the shatrus. Sama cha upapradhanam cha bhedadando tatha aparo upayaha kathita hyete mitradinam cha sadhane. The next shloka is Tanevahan napashyami mitradim statama krudhaha sadhyabhave mahabhavo sadhanaihi kim prayojanam. Hey Tata, oh Father, do not be angry, because I know neither friends nor shatrus, foes, and where no object is to be accomplished, the means of effecting are non-existent. Because tan eva aham na pashyami mitradim statama krudha sadhya abhave mahabhavo sadhanehi kim prayojan. If there is no sadhya itself, sadhya bhave, so because of the abhava, in the abhava of the sadhya or goal, the sadhanehi kim prayojanam, what is the means of what is the use of the means to attain the sadhana? सर्वभूतात्मके तात जगन्नाथे जगन्मगे परमात्मनि गोविन्दे मित्र कथा कुतः. If it were idle to talk of mitra or amitra, friend or shatru, foe in Govinda, who is the supreme soul, who is the universe itself, Jagannathe Jaganmage, and is the lord of the universe, Jagannathe, who is identical with all beings. Mitra Mitra Katha Kutaha. So where is this talk of Mitra and Amitra? So all of this is said to be waste, as we saw in the first shloka. We have to take all these shlokas together to understand that the Sama, the Upapradana, Bheda, Danda, Apara, all these things, all these other things as well, they are for Mitradhinam sadhana. They are to the sadhana, they are sadhanas for attaining all this Mitradi. Saukhyas that we see in the Vyavaharika Jeev, in the Vyavaharika Loka. And because that the entire the sadhya to attain friends or to make enemies by giving this dandana and everything, there is no point in doing all that, because the sadhya itself is of no use, or it is not, does not actually exist, and we are seeing that only because of mithya maya etc. So because of sadhya bhave sadhanaihi kim prayojanam, so there is no use by all these sadhanas as well, because when we give a gift to somebody, they become happy and they become our mitra. Veda itself says, Dane nadvishanto mitra bhavanti, Dane sarvam pratishthitam tasma, Danam paramam vadanti. So Dana is said to be the highest because Dane nadvishantaha mitra bhavanti. So because by giving a gift to somebody, even dvishantaha, shatrus, they become mitra bhavanti, they become our friends, and they have the maitri bhava towards us. And by doing the opposite, by giving a danda or by punishing them, they become our enemies. But all this friend and enemy is actually not a real thing, because Paramatmani Govinde Mitra Mitra Katha Kutaha. So this all this kathana are talking about this Mitra and Amitra. When we see that the Sarva Bhutatmaka, Jagannatha, Jaganmaya, and Paramatmani Govinde. So with that knowledge of all that, there is no talk of this Mitra and Amitra. Because when we know that the Sarvabhutatmaka, the embodiment of all beings, the Jagannatha, the ruler or lord of the entire universe, the Jaganmaye, the one that is the Swarupa or the Mayi of the entire universe, Paramatmani Govinde, that Paramatma Govinda, when we have that knowledge, all of this is of no use. जडानाम् अविवेकानाम् अशूराणाम् अपि प्रभो भाग्यभोग्यानि राज्यानि सन्त्यनीतिम् सन्त्यनीतिमतामपि तस्माद्यतेत पुण्येषु य इच्छेन् महतीं श्रियं यतितव्यं समत्वे च निर्वाणमपि चेच्छत देवा मनुष्याः पशवः पक्षिवृक्षसरीसृपाः रूपमेतत् अनन्तस्य विष्णोर्भिन्नमिव स्थितम् एतद् विजानता सर्वं जगत्स्थावरजङ्गमं द्रष्टव्यम् आत्मवद्विष्णुः यतः अयं विश्वरूपधृक् एवं ज्ञाते स भगवान् अनादिः परमेश्वरः प्रसीदति अच्युतः तस्मिन् प्रसन्ने क्लेशसंक्षयः. From the same Vishnu Purana, again more quotations in a different from a different bhaga. So all these Rajyas, they are bestowed by luck upon the Murkhas. Jadanam, Avivekanam, Asuranam, Api Prabho, Bhagya, Bhogani Rajani, Santi, Anitim, Aniti Matam Api. So this Raja, all these kingdoms are bestowed upon by luck because of their somewhat sukrita from previous janmas, maybe that they are bestowed upon the jadana and avivekana, the ones that have bad knowledge and bad drishti, the ignorant, the cowardly, and those who see and those whom the actual government or the actual science or that vidya of government is unknown. Ashuranam api prabho satya niti matam api santi aniti matam api. So tasmat yateta punyeshu ya ichet mahatim shriyam yatitavyam samatve cha nirvanam api cha ichhata. So let him therefore who aspires for the highest fortune be nishta or be firm in the practice of virtue, and let him who hopes for the final moksha learn to look upon all things as equal. Yatidavyam samatve cha nirvanam api chechata. So yaha mahatim shriyam ichet तस्माद्यतेत पुण्येषु यः इच्छेत् महतीं श्रियं यतितव्यं समत्वे च निर्वाणम् अपि चेच्छत. So all of these vyavaharika shriyas that we see as dhana, bhogya, rajya, as we saw in the previous shloka, the people that want that, they can do that by laukika means itself. But the people that want the mahatim shriyam, the greatest shriya or aishwarya, they must have this samatva drishti. Yatitavyam samatve cha nirvanam api cha ichhata. For this nirvana or moksha prapti. Devaha manushyaha pashavaha pakshi vriksha sarisripaha रूपमेतत् अनन्तस्य विष्णोः भिन्नम् इव स्थितम्. So Devaha, the gods that we see, Manushyaha, humans, Pashavaha, animals, Pakshi, Vriksha, Sarisripaha, the birds, the Vrikshas, the trees, and the Sarisripaha, all the reptiles, are forms of the same eternal Vishnu. Rupam etat anantasya. So anantasya Vishnoho, these are all the rupa of that. Because already we saw that he is sarva bhutatmaka. So again, this is just doing a vistara of saying what are the types of different bhutas they're giving us, deva, manusya, pashavaha. But already we have seen as sarva bhutatmaka. So again, this is just continuing on that. Vishnoho bhinnam iva sthitam. So they appear to be Vishnoho bhinnam or bhinna or different from Vishnu, but that is not actually true. Vishnoho bhinnam iva. They appear like that due to Maya, but that is not the actual case because this Paramatma is Sarvabhutatmakaha. So they appear different, but they are all the same forms of Vishnu. एतत् विजानता सर्वं जगत् स्थावरजङ्गमं द्रष्टव्यम् आत्मवत् विष्णुः यतः अयं विश्वरूपधृक्. By him who knows this, the entire universe, fixed or movable by Sthavara Jangama, is to be regarded as identical with him who has assumed this universal form. So, as we saw in the Purva Pitika itself, Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati. So, whoever has this Atma Jnana, this Brahma Jnana, is none different than Brahman itself. So, Drashtavyam Atmavat Vishnuhu Yataha Ayam Vishwarupa Dhrik. Because he is the Vishwarupa Dhrik, he is the entire universe. And एवं ज्ञाते स भगवान् एतद् विजानता सर्वं जगत् स्थावर जङ्गमम्. So who knows the jagat, that is the sthavara jangamatmaka. So the sthavara and the jangama, the fixed things, the fixed life forms, and the jangama, the movable life forms. Who knows this jagat as the sthavara jangamatmaka and is identical to Brahman. एतत् विजानता सर्वं जगत् स्थावरजङ्गमं द्रष्टव्यम् आत्मवत् विष्णुः. Just like is identical with him, Atmavat Vishnuhu is Ishvara Yataha Ayam Vishwarupa Dhrik, because he has taken this form as a Vishwarupa Dhrik. He has assumed this form as the Vishwa, and the person that knows this is also of that same form itself, is to be regarded as identical with him. Atmavat Vishnuhu. And the last quote from this section was Evam Nyate sa Bhagavan Aradhif Parameshwaraha Prasidati Achyutaha Tasmin Prasanne Klesha Samkshayaha. And when this is known, the glorious God of all, who is without of beginning or end, Anadihi Parameshwaraha, is pleased. Prasidataha prasidati achyutaha tasmin prasanne klesham kshayaha. So when this is known, the glorious Ishvara of all, who is without any beginning or end, is pleased, and when he is pleased, there is an end of kleshas or troubles. Evam Nyate sati sa Bhagavan Anadihi Parameshwaraha. So the greatest Ishvara and Bhagavan Anadihi, he is Prasidati, he is pleased. Achyutaha Tasmin Prasanne, and in that case there is Klesha Samkshayaha, or there is a Kshaya or removal or Nashana of all Kleshas, because Dvitiyadvai Bhayam Bhavati, right? Because if there is no Dvitiya Vastu, if there is only one Vastu, there is no need for all this Kama Krodhadi things that cause kleshas. Even in the Vyavaharas, we see Sangachattam Samvadattam Samvomana Amsijanatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate. So the Veda mantras, they pray in the Aikyamattya, they pray Sangachattam Samvadaddham Samvomanam Sijanatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate. So like how in the Purva Kala all the devatas came to the yagas and took their respective Havirbhagas without any clash. May we always be like that. Maybe have the same thoughts. Maybe maybe go together. Maybe talk together. Maybe have all this, and may all of that be samatva. That is what we see in Aikyamatya Sukta, because Aikya is just samatva again. Because when there is no discrepancy in between what two people think or two people talk, then there is no hetu for klesha. So that entire karana for afflictions or problems, that itself will be gone. So, but this is very rare because Bhagavan itself says that this is very rare to get to this sthiti. We have so many manushas, and in those manushas, we can count who may be at the stage of a jnani. That is why Bhagavan himself says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevaha sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabhaha. So that type of Mahatma is Durlabhaha or Sudurlabhaha. That is very difficult to find because Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. Because after, at the end of so many births, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after that, at the end of that, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate, the person who has Jnana, this Shuddha Chaitanya Jnana, this Sat Jnana, Mam Prapadyate, they surrender to me, Mam Prapadyate. This is what Bhagavan says. Vasudevaha Sarvamiti. So Vasudevaha Sarvamiti Jnatva Mam Prapadyate. So by knowing that this Vasudeva is Sarvam iti. So Vishnuhu Sarvam iti. So that is why in the previous lectures also I had said, one way to think about this Vishnu Sahasranama Namavali is when we take the names individually, that is Dvaita, Vishwam, Vishnuhu, like that. But when we take two namas at a time, Vishwam Vishnuhu, the entire Vishwa is Vishnu itself. The Jagat is Vishnu itself. There is no, there is not Bhinna. Vishnoho Bhinnaha. Na. So like that, we can see the Advaita Drishti. Because Dvaita does not need to be taught. We can see Dvaita from the Kshana we are born. That's why Shankaracharya says that Dvaita is not Arha. It does not have Arha to be taught. So it Dvaita has no reason to be taught because we see Dvaita from the very second we are born. We see these different people, these different animals and everything. He is different, I am different. Because of this, there is no prayojana of teaching Dvaita. The only thing that needs to be taught is Advaita. Because we see all this Yushmat, Ashmat, Yushmat, Asmat, Pratyaya Gochara. Because we see all these things that Yushmat, Asmat, belonging to you, belonging to me. Because of all this from the beginning itself, we are accustomed to all these Sarvanama Shabdas like Yushmat and Asmat. Then we see the Dvaita. And because of this Mithya, we see this Dvaita. And only because of that, we have to be taught Advaita. So we can understand what is actually there when we remove this Mithya or things that seem to be real but are actually unreal. So the person that actually understands this and has this manobhava, Mam Prapadyate, he is a Mahatma. He is said to be a Mahatma and he is very difficult to find. Sudurlabha. Ityadi vachanaischa. Himsadirahitena stuti namaskaraadi kartavyam iti darshayitum vishvashabdena brahma bhidhiyate iti va. So this ends this bhaga of quotations. And what is Shankaracharya trying to prove here? Ityadi vachanaischa. Because of all of these quotations, all of these quotations are pramanas. They show by these pramanas we can see that the praises, the namaskaras, everything to the Lord should be accompanied with ahimsa and the ahimsa bhava to others. As the term Vishwa also denotes to all pervading Brahman. So Vishwa Shabdena Brahma Abhidiyate iti va Himsadirahitena Stuti Namaskara Kartavyam iti darshayitum. So all of these quotations that we had seen from the end of the last lecture until now, they have two prayojanas. Vishwa Shabdena Brahma Abhidiyate. By the Shabda Vishwa, the what we get from that is Brahman, Paramatman. That is one thing. Abhidiyate. Abhidiyate means it is being described or it is denoting. The Vishwa Shabda is denoting Brahman. And Himsadirahitena Stuti Namaskaradi Kartavyam iti darshayitum. To show that whatever the Stuti, Namaskara, things that we do. Stuti means we are praising Ishvara. We are doing Namaskara to Ishvara, right? In Sri Rudram, we see all this Namaha, the Ubhayato Namaskara, the Anyatarto Namaskara, Namo Hiranyabhave Sena, Nyedishanjapatage Namaha, Namo Bhavaya Rudraya. These are all Namaskaras. So, by all of these Karmakanda mantras, we can do this Stuti and Namaskara as well. But what is the catch there? Himsadi rahitena. So again, this himsa is a big discussion, because in all the Vedika karmas, himsa is prescribed. For example, we saw in one of the previous Arthavadas, where we saw that the Nahusha had said that the Arthavadas of the Vedas are not Anadi and Aporusha, and not authoritative as the Samhita Bhagas. So we saw Veda is two mantra and Brahmana. So for that, we had seen Arthavada is Vayurvaik Shepishtha Devata. So why I'm bringing that up is, even there is certain types of Vedic karmas that require the himsa of a pashu. Vayavyam Shvetam alabheta. This Shveta means Shvetam Ajam alabheta. So the Vedas prescribe that a Vayavatmaka white goat must be sacrificed. Shvetam Ajam alabheta. So like all of these things, Shankaracharya is trying to refute some of those practices. Of course, the Mimamsakas will argue, and Shankaracharya himself accepts in some cases that the himsa done in a yaga is Veda Vihita and should not be considered as himsa. But the himsa done outside of a yaga must obviously be avoided. But the himsa done in a Vaidika yajna should not be counted as himsa. And Shankaracharya himself agrees with the Mimamsakas in some cases. But that is a topic of big vichara and klesha. So, but what we can take from this is himsadi rahitena stuti namaskaradi kartavyam. So whenever we are doing a praise or a namaskara or bowing down, or we are prostrating to Ishvara, it should not be at the expense of others. So by manasa vacha karmana, other people should not be in any way hurt by our pujana. So yaj pujane. So the doing yaga itself is another form of pujana or worship itself. So this himsadi rahitena stuti namaskaradi kartavyam. So the himsadi, the adi means from himsa, all of this what we had seen in the previous shlokas. This parapida should not be done. Himsadi parapida rahitena. Rahitena means by that abhava. So without others himsa, etc., this pujana should be done. So at the expense of others, we should not do something. So that is what is being discussed here. And he quotes from 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, last sloka. Matkarmakrin matparamaha madbhakta sangavarjitaha nirvairaha sarvabhuteshu yaha samameti pandava iti. Because, so we see that the stuti namaskara should not be done at the expense of others. So for that, Shankaracharya Bhagavad quotes, Mat karma krita, mat paramaha, mat bhaktaha, sangavarjitaha. So mat karma krita, indulge, the person that is always engaged in doing my work. Mat karma krita, mat paramaha, considering me, Bhagavan says this, as me as Parama, the Supreme. Mat bhaktaha, the person that has the bhakti bhavana towards me, engaged in my service. Sangavarjitaha, the one that is freed from attachment. Sangavarjitaha. Nirvairaha, the one that does not have a vairi or an enemy. Sarvabhuteshu, so the one that does not have a enemy in all pranis. Yaha, that person who is like with all those gunas. Saha, he mam eti pandava, he attains me, Pandava, or he attains this punarjanma rahitvam. So he attains this state of not having a punarjanma or moksha. So this is again continuing the same tatparya that Bhagavad Pada had given here. So this himsadi rahitena again is being said because he does not have a vairi in sarva bhuteshu. So the moment we say we offer that prani to you, that prani becomes a vairi to you, right? Or if we do a puja at the expense of others, if we give shrama to others and do a puja, right? Some people, they do all these big kind of pujas and everything, but in that other people may not be physically hurt, but they may have some klesha. Like that, we don't need to do all of those things, because we all of these things can be done without any external dravyas itself. So the manasa puja is much more greater than the external puja. And we saw before as well that yajnanam japa yajñosmi. So even compared to all the Vedika Karmakanda yajnas, Bhagavan says that I am the japa yajna, or the yajna of doing japa. So like this, because of only japa do we get the sadhana chatushtayas. So the japa is said to be a hetu, or one karana of getting to that stage. So all of these things can be done without much other external dravyas, or without much other people, or all the Vedika niyamas. So that is what Bhagavan is saying here in Gita. So Matkarma Krita, so he also, the person with all those gunas, he attains me. Mameti Pandava iti. So this concludes this section of the Shankara Bhashya. Shankaracharya again quotes multiple shlokas in for this shloka itself, for the first shloka itself, and we can continue seeing them in the next lecture. Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Very, very nice, Pranav. Thank you for the elaborate discussion on this ahimsa topic. If I have to summarize your whole lecture today, the sloka which comes to my mind is Adveshta Sarva Bhutana Maitra Gurunayarvasha Nirmamo Nirahankara Sama Dukkha Sugakshami. And Lord Krishna describes who is the greatest Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhakti Yoga, he says one who has no hatred for anybody, who has friendliness and compassion, and who has no Nirmamo. And I think so the whole lecture of it today was very elaborate of that sloka also, not only of the Vishwa term. I think this was also a Gita Bhashya for that particular sloka also was covered in this particular 1 hour, very excellent coverage. And I also another sloka came to my mind, which I don't know whether you are familiar with. It's in Manavala Mamnigal's Varadaraja Mangalam. Vajimede Vapahome Dhadu Uttara Veditaha Uditai Hutadagnehe Udarangaya Mangalam. When Lord Varadaraja comes in Kanchipuram, actually he comes when the Vapa of the cow is offered when Brahma offers the Vapa Homam. Vajimede means Ashwamedha Yagam. In the Ashwamedha Yagam, when Brahma offers the Vapa Homam, immediately Varadaraja springs up from the sacrificial fire, it seems. So the Himsa in the Vedic circle is accepted. That's what you were mentioning, that in olden days, the particular Himsa in the Vedic sacrifice was acceptable and was considered even elevating the cows or whichever was offered in the fire. But this was a very telling statement that Varadaraja appeared as soon as the Vabha Homa was. That's what Manavala Mamnigal puts in the Varadaraja Mangalam. So so I think that was also covered by you, that the Vedic rituals do mention Himsa as part of the Vedic yajnas, and they are not really considered Himsa. But even Adi Shankara tells us to stay away from those things these days. Very excellent, very awesome. That I didn't know that the Vishwa term not only mentioned Brahman but also the Himsa, the Rahita Stuti Vantanam. That was, I can get that term. I will not forget the Himsa, the Rahita Stuti Vantanam is what we should do. Thank you very much.
Another Gita shloka is the Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu Name Dveshu Astina Priya Ye Bhajanti Tumam Bhaktya Magite Deshu Japyaham. So I will include that in the next.
Yes. So this
There
was
are so many
the
shlokas.
Bhashya for both the Vishwanama as well as the Gita Bhashya for that particular sloka. We can take this as an awesome explanation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if there are more questions, we have email address. Definitely send this out, and we will be happy to send it to Pranav to get the response back. And if it is a lot of people are asking the questions, we can probably address it in this session next time as well. So with that, let's go through the final, and then if you have more questions, we can discuss that. Okay.
मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के शक्ति गणपति शारदाम्बिके शंकराचार्यर के शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदाम्बिके के काल भैरव के काली दुर्गै के वीर धीर शूर हनुम मारुति चरणति के मल्लिकार्जुन के चेल्व जनार्दन के अंबा भवानी कंबद गणपति चंडी चामुंडी के श्री कृष्ण भगवान के, श्री चक्रवासिनी के, सीताराम लक्ष्मण सहित मारुति चरणति के, विद्यारण्यर के, विद्याशंकर के, वागीश्वरी के, वज्रदेग गरुड़ आंजनेयर के, श्रीवल्ली देव सेना समेत सुब्रह्मण्यर के, तुंगभद्रै के, श्रृंगनिवासिनी के, श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிலைத்திருக்கும் எங்கள் சாரதாம்பிகைக்கே, सच्चिदानंद शिव अभिनव नृसिंह भारती के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु सार्वभौमर के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विद्यातीर्थर के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु भारती तीर्थर के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विदुशेखर भारती के, मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के, शक्ति गणपति शारदाम्बिक शंकराचार्यर के, शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदाம்பிகை के, श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிறைந்திருக்கும் எங்கள் சாரதாம்பிகைக்கே.
Thank you all. If no questions, we will end here. Thank you. Thank you again.